Recently, I've been asked to talk about my own life story, and reluctantly, after many requests, I accepted, and I started to talk about my own journey. And I'm sure each of you have your own journey. Chod has many dimensions, as you know. Chod can be considered as one spiritual journey. And you can say to provide the structure for your spiritual journey. So in my life, when I reflect back, I felt like I've been doing Cho practice entire life since I was born up to this point. I describe as walking or traversing the channel ground. So today's ritual, today's practice, I thought maybe you might like to really put yourself on this sacred journey. So if you recall, in terms of structure to practice, first we start entering into the wilderness, like channel ground, walking toward the channel ground, which could be like since you are born, you enter or thrown into the wilderness, no? Wilderness called life. Then lots of unexpected things happen, go through all challenges and difficult things, hardships. Then went through that. Then you remember refuge and bodhicitta. So then the set the intention and the motivation of your life, what you want to do in your life, which direction you would like to go, and so forth. Then offering is like adulthood, coming to this maturing process, and then receiving the empowerment, so to speak, receiving the blessing of the teachers, which is really the peak of the adulthood. And you became really the person, so to speak, in the society or your family. Then now after that, you slowly go into this dissolution stage, while you are doing a meaningful practice, aging, then finally come to this death, separation of your consciousness and awareness. Right. Then from there you will be reborn as a deity, right? Sacred embodiment of what and who you truly are. Then comes out as a Idan form, Idan deity, sacred embodiment. Then you perform. Actually, you became a service of the world to serve. In this context, you give the offering, to tremendous, precious offering of the body and so forth. So then I eventually going back to the resolution again cycle of this. So today's practice, maybe first 5 minutes or so, we're gonna sit quietly. I'm not gonna say anything. Just let me front load a little bit what we're going to do this meditation. First, a few minutes, of course, settle your body, mind, and speech so that you have a pure, clear, calm surface of the lake. Then from there, I want you to reflect back a little bit about your personal journey so far. And also somehow something brought you here to practice, then how that's kind of related. Perhaps you might like to bring up your so-called gods and demons. We're going to the channel ground at first. As you know, in the beginning, we call upon your shadow, so to speak, your gods and demons. Whatever you are working on, or some kind of challenging situation you can recall, or some alienated part of yourself which you don't want other people to know. That sort of thing. Today, actually, I just brought up this sacred journey and Chod practice as a sacred life journey. So each of us has our own life journey, but this Chod practice, Chod ritual, entire from beginning to the end, can be seen as a sacred ritual. And so today I thought that we're gonna emulate, we're gonna really go into more personal level practice. So starting going to the wilderness of our life, whatever going on in our life, we dive into that.